All right, we are live. RTD Live Talk, late night talk show, Detroit's #1 late night talk show, and getting started a second or actually a minute later than I anticipated due to the fact it just hit me. So I had to change the title of this video. So if you were to probably look down beneath this video, it's a new ending on it, and so I had to actually just be honest for once. Oh, not for one. I'm talking about for once, but change up the narrative a little bit. And so we are not. We are. I think we've already surpassed what would be considered a recession. I believe that right now, based upon all the events that are unfolding, we've skipped right over the recession and we are in a depression. And so it's one of those things where it's too much stuff going on not to call it what it really is. And so we are, in my personal opinion, a depression. And so I want to actually share some thoughts as to why I believe that is, and then also get your thoughts on it. And hopefully tonight, if the phone lines are working as they should, we should be able to take some calls and get your thoughts on it. So welcome to this RT Live Talk late night talk show. Let's have some fun. Let me check in with the chat, see who's tuning in. We have Silver Retard. First one, it says, hi all. We got Zipson. Remember Jade Helm's 15 videos? I do, but I don't. Says it definitely is a massive wealth transfer and consolidation of power under the guise of a pandemic. Very true. Very true. It's the problem, reaction, solution at its greatest formula. Yeah. Spirit King, how you doing, my friend? We got Deceived Norman. No more. Says Trump said he wasn't a socialist. Yeah. When all the policies line up to be supportive of the corporations over the people and consolidating and becoming the owner or a shareholder in all these corporations that are in need of bailouts, it's definitely not capitalism in its greatest form. So says Nancy blocking proposals to help American people. What's going wrong? What's going around? I don't know. So I want to share with you some documentation that I came across from Maxine Waters that was put before the other politicians today. And so they get a chance to find out where it was going. But one thing that stood out was the very fact that they had some numbers there that I want to talk about. And so let me see. I got a super chat. I want to acknowledge that. Micah Robinson, thanks for being a blessing to the channel. It says here, buy SLV if your 401k is tied in the system or say cash. All right. So that is a monetary opinion there. And so, yeah, that's another issue that we're going to talk about, because another thing I was considering is that as all this continues to unwind, I still believe we're at the very beginning of everything that's occurring. But as this unwinds, what will America look like at the very end of all this? And so, because I believe the powers that be wanted this exact same thing to occur. And I believe that we're right where they want us to be. And I believe that the end of this plays right into the cashless society, the surveillance state, bigger government, less freedom, less right, all the things that I think was a part of this equation. So what's up, Mike from Torch Lake, Michigan? Disco, how you doing, my friend? Says you're absolutely right, Mike. We are in a deep depression. What up, Mike Cal from Philippines? Catbird Seat. Thanks for tuning in, my friend. How are things in the Philippines? It says, is a surveillance virus only delaying the massive layoffs? I can still believe I still have a job, honestly. Yeah, man, that's love, man. That's love if you have one. And for those that still are able to get out and add value, that is a great thing as always. And so hope you guys had a chance to catch the interview I did earlier with Mark Moss. It was great being able to catch up with him. Definitely going to have him on later on, probably next week as things unfold. It's always good to get different perspectives and go from there. So hi from Rhode Island. We got Zipson. Okay. We got Mike says, buy Biomerica. Catbird Seat. Okay. A lot of monetary financial opinions out there. Appreciate that. How long will the dollar survive in its current value? John, the 10th man. Great question there. I was also thinking about that earlier as well. And, here's one of the things that I think we're going to end up having to come back to. and it's going to be, let me pull up this graph here, and then I want to get right into the very PDF and talk about some of those things that you guys came here to know about. So I want to show this. Okay, so here, let me put up, let me try this. Let me see if I can get something better. I'm going to share the screen with you. And I think this, and so here's one of the things I believe will be very misleading. Because let me see if I can get this up here. Nope, wrong one. All right, let me try this again. Sorry. Let me try this again. I'm trying to find an actual image that I can use for this. Okay, so I got a couple up here. So here's a little visual aid I put together a while ago, but you guys get the idea. You know what this looked like when you see it. And so I'm gonna share my screen here. And so consider this. I made this here. I made this picture here. At the beginning of the presidential election. I think when Trump first got into office, I made this visual aid here. And so it's just the purchasing power of the consumer dollar since the creation of the Federal Reserve. And so since the creation of the Federal Reserve, we see where the Federal Reserve note has gone. And so all the charts have it at 3 cents of its original purchasing power from 107 years ago. And so we've been told that it's been 3 cents out of that original 100 or dollar for the last 10 years maybe. And so at what point will that be updated? And that's where I'm thinking like, okay, we're this year and heading to the next year, and especially this decade, we're going to see, and this is my personal opinion, if you actually look at the graph, I have Trump's face beneath. Let me see if I can zoom in some. I have Trump's face beneath the I have Trump's face beneath the 0 point line because I believe we're already negative. And when I say that, because everything we do now cost $1 and some change. And so a single dollar, in the way that it was introduced back in 1913, a single dollar was half a day's wage, depending on what line of work you were in. And so you could fill up a basket of groceries plus some in 1913, whereas in today, you're not really be able to, you have to add 6 cents, or in Michigan, you got to add 6 cents of tax on top of it. And also whatever else you're going to be using it. So I'll share this blog that I put together that has this picture in it. And then to go back even further, I want to share, here's something I put together. And so this is it's called a dollarcation. So this is my way of I was actually a couple of years ago, and I still got printouts where I used to be on the streets handing these things out here. And I basically ask people exactly, what's the difference in a Federal Reserve note and a dollar? And I put this together, and this is back in 2017. And I mentioned what you could have purchased. And so what it's going to boil down to now is moving forward with all this accommodative policies being put into place. And when we want to get into this PDF about the amount of currency we're all expected to be given or roughly given to take care of our daily needs as we go through this depression, I think that eventually we're going to start witnessing the true value of these currencies of globally, especially based upon what you can purchase and what you can't purchase. And so once again, if everybody gets a check, and so I'm gonna actually get to it now. Let me go and stop playing around. I'm gonna get to this PDF here. So here's the actual PDF. And so this was today from the financialhouseservice.gov. I'll put this in the chat as well. So people, you can read through it more for yourself. But I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and we're gonna talk about the very first line or two. And so this is to the Democratic members, House of Representatives, Chairwoman Maxine Waters, proposed legislative responses for this health crisis, March 18th, 2020. So as of today. And it says, very first one, protecting consumers and bolstering the economy. So protecting consumers. So we are looked at as consumers, which means that they see us as already as cash cows. And so we see what the consumer dollar has done for us. It hasn't really done much, overall. That's why it takes so many of these things to get the bare minimum of anything. But to go back to this here. So let's dive in further. I'm going to zoom in, and so you guys can see it. And so Very first act put forth by the Democratic members, assuming either I'd imagine Maxine Waters didn't put this together, but one of her, whoever she answers to, not the American people, probably put this together. But it says at least $2,000 a month for all adults and $1,000 for each child. So if this is done by the Democrats, I think, if this particular, part of the memorandum actually makes it before the rest of the House, I don't know where it stands or if this is even whatever, but this is just an official documentation. I wonder how, what else is in this. So this is a total of, let me see, a total of 5 pages, 6 pages. And so it's good to say there's some funny money in here. There's some funny money in here where Trump may or may not go for it. More than likely, because it comes from the Democratic Party, Trump won't go for it. So we'll take it for what it's worth. But it says here, $2,000 for all adults and $1,000 for each child. And of course, this whole paragraph here is very vague and detailed. So I'm assuming it has to be more to this. But it says the Federal Reserve would be directed through a money financing fiscal program to fund automatic stabilizers in the form of at least $2,000 for every adult and $1,000 for every child each month. So this is each month during this crisis that we're in. And so think about this. Let's just talk about this for 1 second, and then let me get your thoughts. Feel free to call in. Phone lines should be good. They worked earlier. And so $2,000 for every adult, every child. So think about your household right now. How many individuals are in your household? That's so much, according to the Democratic Party in this memorandum, of what is being suggested. And so factor that in every month. And so it says each month during this crisis. So how much would that cost? And so we're looking at, there's no stipulations here. It says basically every household, every adult, and every child. So I'm assuming, and okay, let me go to the very end. So what's interesting about this, it says at the very bottom, the provision is, this provision would also prevent payments from going to millionaires and billionaires. And so once again, paint those that are, well off as being people who wouldn't necessarily benefit from this, which they wouldn't. But so we know who's not getting it. So I don't know what the numbers are as far as how many millionaires or how many billionaires are in this country, but I don't think they're going to be mad. And so here we go. Take how many ever individuals in your household, add that total up. That's what you would get per month during this crisis, during this depression, as I mentioned. And so I started off by saying that we're in a depression now because with my prior knowledge off the top of my head, all the destruction that was done in the Great Depression is kind of adding up now. And to give you more insight as to what's going on, let me grab some more articles here. We have massive amount of layoffs because we have a lot of doors and stores and all types of industries closing down right now. So wouldn't that kind of spell depression, if I'm not mistaken? But let me actually make it official. I'm going to go and find out. Let's actually dig in deep and see what the actual definition of a depression is, according to, let's see if we can get like Investopedia. What is a depression? Let me see. Economic depression. Okay, depression. That's a different type of depression. Let me come up with the other type of depression. Economic depression. Let's see what Wikipedia says. Oh, actually, let's go to depression definition. Okay, so this is the definition of a depression according to Investopedia. It says a depression is a severe and prolonged downturn in the economic activity. In economics, a depression is commonly defined as extreme recession that lasts 3 or more years or leads to a decline in real GDP of at least 10%. And so apart from the time frame of 3 years, and so I imagine this definition was produced after having a true depression like we had, a couple decades ago. But this is all in alignment with what a depression looks like. So just say we can shorten this and say 3 months. So we can either it's now or it's coming. Point in case is These are not good times, to say the least. And so I missed our call. Give me a call back. We can get you on here. And so let me go back to this documentation here. Or better yet, let me take this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, what's going on, man? This is AJ from Las Vegas. I was calling you yesterday. You got the phone working now.
Yes, sir. I apologize for that little hiccup. Once I got off air, then all the messages came through. So, but we're here now. What's your thought or your question, my friend?
No, good. No, man. I've been watching you for a while now. Watching a lot of other people. You know, Big Sweet, and all them good people.
Mm-hmm.
Most of us, we already knew this was coming. It's just the fashion that they were going to roll this out.
Yeah,
was the main question. And right when you started going down, when I went to the store and I saw like the water and all that stuff was gone, I was like, oh, okay, this is it for real now. And so yeah, I think it's really good what you're doing here, letting people get educated on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm curious as to how you feel, because people like me and you, we got our silver, you know, we got our cryptos, you know, if you're into that.
Mm-hmm.
Just how friendly are they going to make the rules for people like us on the other side of it, that were prepared? That's what I'm wondering.
All right.
And I haven't heard too much of.
Okay.
And
yeah.
I don't know. I personally feel like since their position, you know, since JP Morgan is positioned and, you know, we see all these people in crypto getting involved in certain government things like that, it seems like they're guiding it. It seems like this is what they want it to be. Mm-hmm. And very few people are positioned like me and you. They can deal with me and you.
Yeah.
Not the masses having their gold and silver on hand, having their crypto on hand in their wallet.
Right.
How friendly do you think they're going to make it for me and you?
Great question. And and so this at the very beginning, as I mentioned about what will America look like as this unwinds or after this ends. And my immediate thought before I went live tonight was that this may not be a country that we that have prepared may want to live in, because what's going to be rolled out and the amount of, you know, every crisis, there's an opportunity for the powers that be to, you know, invade our lives more and to lessen our freedoms financially, emotionally, spiritually, you name it. So I would imagine that taxation or outright confiscation, because I'm hearing more about once martial law is passed, all the types of acts that they can roll out as a part of the national emergency could lead to confiscation of certain things depending on. So I don't know, but I've always believed that it's not going to be peaches and cream on the other end for those that prepared, just because they want everybody under the same system. And I believe it's going to be digital based. And so while I was watching, was it real? I think it was David Icke tonight talking about, you know, the problem, reaction, solution. Like this is just, everything's lining up perfect for the solution that they already have planned for us. We know it's cashless. We know this digital. We know it's going to be surveillance cameras. We know that it's going to be vaccination. It's going to be less of everything we enjoy now. So I'm anticipating the America that's going to come after this is not going to be the America that we grew up in. And, you know, hell, I was thinking like, depending on how this unwinds, majority of people may not necessarily want to live in America anymore because of what's going to be rolled out, in my personal opinion. So I imagine it will be a challenge. So that's why I was like, I've never was like, hurry up for, you know, 20,000 gold and 20,000 silver. I'm like, no, you may not live in a world where you can enjoy it. So I didn't want this, but knew it was coming.
I feel good being prepared in that sense, but I'm not selfish as to where I want everyone else around me to be broke and I'm the only one bald.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Understandable. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be as plush as we all would like for it to be. And I imagine also as the Federal Reserve shoot themselves in the foot and we're brought into some type of new monetary world order, that I imagine the Federal Reserve basically being rolled into the Treasury, and whatever is going to be spewed out is going to be Treasury centered, but yet the same powers controlling it to where it's going to be digital based, and they're not going to want any competition. So competition happens to be in this very same thing that preppers look at as safe haven. So what will they do? Tax the hell out of it, and depending on if you're a person with a name and they know what you got, they're going to find a way to take it or label you a terrorist for, you know, trying to profit off the destruction of our economy. They're going to say stackers are the ones that, because they were hoarding so much, they're terrorists. And you know how this stuff can go. You know, anything is possible when it's, in a dire emergency state.
with that said, if that's really how they want to roll it out, I can't see it being any other way than everybody being worth the same thing. Like, at least with us, people at the bottom, a person with $1 million isn't anything.
Right.
To them.
Right.
But there's not going to be the disparity between the bum on the street and the guy with $1 million in the regular populace. That's what it sounds like we're headed toward.
And I don't doubt it, because whatever it is, it will be under whatever that system that they will be able to track, monitor, and to the social credit score. Don't ever look past that. Everything that's happening in China is not just like by chance. It's a early experimentation that the rest of the world might be under, because the ultimate goal, the end of all this, is a one world government. And so whatever is going to be after this is going to be closer to that one world government than away from it. You can believe that.
Yep. I'm up on that David Icke too. So it's pretty much prepare as much as you can, but we may have to get in line, is what I'm hearing.
I'm just saying, trust in the Lord, man, and just realize that as long as you're above ground, there's always hope. And of course, everything we're experiencing is nothing new. It just might be new to us. But yet, my personal opinion, I'm going to praise the Lord all the way through it. And every day that I'm alive, I'm going to enjoy the moments I have. So I don't know what comes after that, but I'm going to find a way to make a smile, put a smile on my face. So I'm going to try to do that for myself and help others do the same. And that's my form of being wealthy, I guess, with a smile on my face. But hey, man.
Well, I appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Some other callers.
All right, man. Appreciate the calling. All right. Yeah, good stuff there, man. Good stuff. I appreciate those questions. And so let me go back to what we were looking at. Okay, we got on the call. Let's take this call. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Evan. I'm from Central Texas. First time caller. I've been listening to you for years.
Evan, appreciate you, my friend. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I think we'll probably agree on the same thing, but I just want to get your opinion. Actually have a Roth IRA, and that's like, I don't believe in, I guess, like silver gold's my retirement, but like, what do you think about, like, if you have a Roth IRA and like I've bought, buy and sell some stocks in it, but you can't pull out until like, tax free to like 65, and obviously the way we see this nation going, it's going to be financially insolvent, already is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in your personal opinion, would you not even mess with a Roth IRA or a financial instrument like that?
My personal opinion, of course, is not financial advice. And so, like, from all my prior guys, even today with Mark Moss on, we hit it on this hint on the same thing. And he was saying that it's not necessarily like the Roth 401k, all that. They're all financial vehicles. It's what's inside those vehicles that will be problematic. And so mutual fund indexes and all that stuff, we're witnessing a correction to fair value, whatever that is, without government or Federal Reserve help. And so if there's no one to pump that stuff up, it's going to go down. But yeah, I think the Federal Reserve will get involved and outright buy all that stuff, which it'll look good on paper. But the question is, what value will it really be in an inflated monetary system? So Lynette Zhang, when I had her on a long time ago, she's very adamant on saying that, get out of all those products because they are meant to keep your currency in the system. And if they promise 7% returns, 10% returns outside of the Federal Reserve pumping stuff up, where will those actual returns come from? Like retirement funds, pension funds, we all know they're going to have issues. So to my personal opinion is more so like, how much do you want to lose? Like, because you're not going to really get much out of it. I don't foresee, according to what's going on now, I don't see a happy retirement in the conventional sense in these products moving forward. And so I understand that you take a tax loss, you get fined and you lose by removing it early, but it's like either you take those hits now or you might lose it all later. So it's one of those things where I personally believe dealing with financial and digital distractions and delusions like we're dealing with now, it's all subject to risk and it falls on you. Because you can't insure none of those products there. And so outside of, I think some of it's, the FDIC might insure, but those are all the commercial banking products. So the risk falls on you, whatever that means. So my opinion personally, I don't foresee that stuff being there of value down the line.
I don't either. Yeah, I agree with you. I've just got like maybe $1,000 in there, a little bit more. I guess just something kind of a little bit of a diversification. But I had a real quick question as far as the Fed eliminating reserve requirements. And with money being all digital and people using debit credit cards, what do you think about the possibility of a bank run, of it happening? I'm just curious, like, your thoughts on, I guess, a potential bank run in the future, like what that would be like in this age with so much, but I think you were saying earlier today, 90, or there's someone I was listening to talking about how much we use on the card now.
Bank runs. It's that those words, in a sense, they're incorporated into documentation. I want to believe it's the Dodd-Frank Act that stipulates that during a resolution of the banking situation, if the liquidity was a problem, that all depositors would become creditors because they would use that capital to make whole the banks. So it's good to say that you're going to be issued some type of credit or stock in that bank, but you may not be able to get your funds out. So technically speaking, once the funds are out of your possession and they're in those institutions, you're a creditor to them. So you fall in line with everybody else. So there's a chain there's a pecking order of those that get, taken care of first, second, third, fourth, fifth. And if I'm not mistaken, you're not first. You're second, third, maybe third, fourth, as far as being made whole. So I've heard, like, even Mark Moss mentioned, or actually when we were offline, but he was saying that out in the West Coast, he's talking to some of his buddies, and there's already cash restrictions on how much you can get out right now. And I'd imagine as the panic sets in for those that have a lot in their accounts still, you can't just go in and ask for 100,000 because banks don't actually carry that much worth cash in vaults because they don't really have vaults. They got little drawers and small amounts of paper in their possession. So he was saying, like, one of his friends has to order. I mean, the bank had to order some cash for him to be able to withdraw that. And that took a day or two. So imagine if more people start doing that, which they probably will, because if we're quarantined in and can't go nowhere, you want to be at least have access to some cash in your possession. So people are going to start withdrawing more already if they haven't started already. So to me, anything is possible right now because we are, in my opinion, in a depression. So emergency measures of all kinds are possible because people are very unsure and not confident in this current system right now, as we can witness from what's happening in all these markets.
For sure.
But hey, man, I appreciate the call, my friend. Thanks for keep me informed of what's happening in your neck of the woods.
1,000 subs.
Oh, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Be good. Yeah, appreciate the call and the question. Like always, just one man's opinion. Definitely not financial advice, but yet just at this current moment, I personally question financial advice anyway, just because, I'd imagine all those people who will get paid to sell products, they're a little nervous about their jobs as well. So, all right. So let me check in. Okay. So I want to get back to this. If I don't, I'm going to miss out on everything. So this video here was based upon the proposals for what's coming within the next couple of weeks, days, or whatever. And it's $2,000 for every adult, $1,000 for a child. If you're a millionaire or billionaire, you're not qualified. You're overqualified. And so it just talks about adults will be eligible to withdraw these funds from financial institutions or receive them directly in the mail via IRS. This funding pool would enable the Federal Reserve to more directly stimulate the economy and provide families with the ability to purchase necessities like food and medicines. So take how many people in your house, add that up, 2 adults, how many ever kids, that's what your monthly allowance would be during this crisis. But here's one of the hiccups that I mentioned before. A couple things, a question. How long will this crisis last? And so I believe this is a intended event that we're experiencing. So I'd imagine once it's all said and done, this is going to be more than a month or 2 or so. So I can see this being something that's prolonged because behind the scenes, all the legislative acts that's going to be put in place, they're going to be more invasive. And then as things appear to get better on the surface, they will not be rolled back, i.e. like TSA still in the airports 20 years later. I don't think they ever caught nobody. They ain't never really did nothing of substantial use to me. But yet 20 years later, we still been protected from terrorism. Well, only time TSA is of concern is when you're coming in or out of this country. Nowhere in the world are they as tight on security. I'm gonna guess they don't have much of a threat, but yet the war on terror. I would imagine that pretty soon in this next era, The citizens will be those people that are considered terrorists if you don't comply with and basically give into what's coming. Because once again, the hand that feeds you, what is it? What's that saying? The hands that feed you don't bite the hands that feed you. So right now, Uncle Sam giving out $2,000 for adults, $1,000 for a child. That's basically saying they will become our bosses. And it's one of those things where if it's for every American, and I assume this includes the homeless, nobody is going to really say, no, thank you. I'll opt out. Everybody's going to probably say, okay, I'll take it just because. And then once again, you can't withdraw this back once you get people hooked on it. And so now it's going to turn into a continuous thing. But with these handouts, there comes some stipulations that Uncle Sam's going to ask for something in return. And what I believe they're going to ask for will probably take this nation in a direction that we didn't grow up with having. And more than likely, if you are a libertarian-minded individual, want to have your sovereign rights to yourself, want to be your own boss type of person, you may not necessarily like what they're going to propose to us. So give you a couple more things here. Number 2, suspend all consumer and small business credit payments, including mortgages, car notes, student loans, credit cards, small business loans, personal loans during this global depression. Said this bold step would enable consumers and small businesses, including small farms, to weather the crisis by eliminating debt payments for the duration of this crisis at a time when many Americans will be confined to their homes, unable to work and to bring in income. So once again, all your expenditures right now will be put on hold. So not only will you get 3, 4, 5, 6,000, and imagine if you an individual with a big household, it looks like according to Maxine Waters, you can probably bring in 6, 7, 8,000 a month and also have all your payments suspended. So that sounds like I was going to say a jubilee, but it's not necessarily a jubilee because once again, it sounds, I can't really say it sounds too good to be true because I know what this is heading towards. So I would prefer if this wasn't even an option, but yet some people in America need it. And so I can understand how, it is what it is. But let me check in the chat. What do you guys think? Give me a call, 313-462-0027. Let me know if you are excited or open and willing to receive this hush money now, knowing that it's going to come with a little less freedom, a little less of your personal liberties down the line. Is it worth it to you? I'm curious. And once again, it's just your personal opinion, my opinion, just throwing out stuff off the top of my mind. But I'm curious because my personal opinion is that when all this is said and done, my personal opinion is that we won't necessarily like the America that we will have. And it's sad to say, but I think this is a part of the restructuring of the world monetary system. And with that comes a new economic financial system and new way of doing business in general, because I believe that some of the solutions that will come from this will be robotics. So like right now, let me pull this article up here and then I'll get to this call. All right, let me get to this call here and then I'll share some thoughts. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi.
Low blood pressure. I'm doing good. Give me some good news from Corpus Christi.
Well, they were all out of toilet paper. That's all I can say about that.
Go ahead, my friend.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to tell you, where do I get this chip so I can get my $3,000? Where is it at?
You say the chip or the check?
The chip. I gotta get the chip, and then they give me the check. Right? Is that how it's gonna work?
The way things looking, they might just skip the chip right now, and they'll save the chip for vaccine time. So when you go get your vaccine in June or July, you get your chip then. So they're gonna pay you first, Mike, then chip you.
I got 6 kids. I'm gonna be rich, Mike. I don't know what I'm gonna do with all that money.
Now, here's a question. As I said before, if everybody getting something out there, what will you be able to purchase with it eventually? Because unless we get unless the supply chain is up and running again, we're gonna be all scrambling for the same goods. So in a loaf of bread, if we can find it, if it's worst case situation, might end up costing you $100. So you can only get a couple of those, and you gotta get milk and everything else. So, what will you be able to get with it will be the question.
I don't know, Mike. I'm thinking about buying another Monster Box if it's available.
Yeah, I'd imagine by then miners will be shut down or nationalized, and no one will be willing to sell you a Monster Box for some paper or some digits. At that, if it's like that, if everybody becomes, 6-figure earners because of the government, then I don't think we're gonna have many options of where to spend that stuff at.
Oh man, it's gonna be good, Mike. No house payment, free money, everything free. It's gonna be the greatest economy ever, Mike. I can't wait.
Yeah, until I'm gonna leave it at that, man. But hey, I appreciate you as always.
All right, Mike. Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Oh man, good stuff there. Low blood pressure. Appreciate you, man. You always coming in and bringing some humor to the situation. I appreciate that. All right, so let me get into what I was about to say. Okay, so yeah, this is real talk here. This is real talk here. So I did a video. Well, it was a beginning of 2019, I think it was, and I said, wherever the auto manufacturer, man, get out of here with this ad. Wherever the auto manufacturers go, so does our country. And right now we have, this ad is kicking my butt. All right. So this is Detroit automakers agree to shut down all factories. So 150,000 auto workers in total, UAW workers, will no longer be able to go to work. And it's brought on by this health pandemic. But outside of that, they've been laying off and restructuring and all types of things prior to this. I mean, all 2019, I covered this heavily. GM 20,000, Ford 10,000. And then you have, we're going to hire in 100,000, but you already laid off 30. So what is it? You know what I'm saying? So now we got 150. All plants come to a halt. And Detroit is a car capital of our country. And we're not producing cars, because nobody was going to buy them anyway. But now, to me, this basically spells what is the American economy good for right now? If we're not even making overpriced vehicles, what are we actually able to do as a country right now? And so the fact that the government is coming out with these policies of providing income during this crisis, the concern is we won't be able to just reboot the system and pick back up where we left off like everything was fine, because we were already having issues well before this health scare. And so because of debt, the global debt is the number one pandemic that the world faces. But then they had to sprinkle in a little health scare on top of it that every day I watch more and more people question it. I look at the numbers. The numbers don't really add up to what, it really means. The numbers ain't really saying much of anything to me, because the flu, as of now, was always more severe than this current health scare. Not saying it's not real, but, we all got our thoughts on that. Jeremy, I appreciate the love offering. It says, do you think we are going to move to a free system before the cashless society? Free system. Oh, man. My without even really truly understanding what free system means, that sounds like it's out of the control of the powers that be. And I don't think they will even let off the gas for a minute, because right now we're experiencing a crisis type environment with everybody being laid off, or everything coming to a halt. To me, that spells depression. So this is the closest to free that we're going to get right now, because once they start giving out this allowance to every American, we are now basically property of the state, even more so, or the country rather. And so I don't see there being a time window between now and this cashless society, because I believe also personally that within these allowances we're going to be given, eventually they're going to roll out the digital side of it. And I think, as I mentioned before, I think that the Federal Reserve is going to run the Federal Reserve note into the ground and all the debt with it. And then the president, I believe President Trump right now is overseeing the default. So I remember mentioning years ago how my personal opinion is that who better to lead us through a default and through a restructuring of our debt? Because even Trump mentioned that with this zero interest rate now, he wants to renegotiate our debt because he think he can get a better deal. He think he can can renegotiate our debt with ourselves and our creditors and get something cheaper. So we're literally in the restructuring process now. And so free system, I don't see it coming. I see more control and less opportunities outside of those that are aware of how to take advantage of the debt. Because right now you can borrow basically for free damn near. So yeah, profiting from debt is the best way to take advantage of this current system before it implodes, in my personal opinion. But I always could be wrong. Thanks for that question in the chat, my friend. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's Kevin from Sarasota.
Hi there, Kenny. I'll give you some good news from Sarasota, my friend.
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing tonight?
Not bad at all, man. Trying to make sense of this depression we're in. That's all.
Oh, man. Dude, let me tell you, I have some really crazy thoughts and opinions on this, but I'm really thinking this is all just a big exercise in government flexing its muscle and creating this crisis, and then basically saying, look, we stopped this by shutting everything down and, obey. And next time we tell you to do something, you better not resist.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And so here's the biggest thing that really bothers me is the fact that because of this distress of the American populace, by them being so excited to stimulate the public directly on top of the banks. So if this is $2,000 per adult and $1,000 per child per month, okay, 4, 5, 6,000, whatever it is, we got to remember corporations are getting billions, and the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve will be well beyond anything that they can ever even talk about trying to taper down off of. So it has to continue to go up until there's something else that comes after that. So no matter what, there's nothing. This is not going to end well. And so everything has already changed. We're already in a new system right now because this is a dire crisis mode type of policies that's being mentioned on how to pacify the public while bailing out everybody else.
Well, man, can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, right?
Right. So it has to go somewhere, and it's going to go all around the world. Therefore, I mean, here's the thing. What's interesting is that all governments now are dropping and stimulating. And so everybody going to get stimulated. Either the ECB mentioned they're about to start stimulating. UK about to start stimulating. So everybody around the world going to be getting checks until they can't purchase nothing. So it's like the people who are aware, they're going to take those checks and they're going to try to buy undervalued assets. The people who don't know what's going on, they're going to look at it as free money. They're going to go out and just buy up all kind of crazy stuff, which will be probably hyperinflationary in and of itself. So you're not going to really want to hold on to that stuff much for it, in its purest form, because it's going to be toxic in a sense.
Yeah, man. I mean, how far along before hyperinflation really steps in, man,
I have mixed thoughts. And so it's one of them things where, because everybody around the planet is stimulating, they probably can buy time by all doing it in a jointed effort of just creating to where, one currency doesn't outdo the other. So everything going up to where we just look at prices in a different way. Like I remember, especially down in South America, especially there's currencies down there where, you got a bill that's a $5,000 note, $10,000 note, so we look at things with just an extra zero or two on it. And within time, it can become normal to where they got to adjust the currency or who knows. But I think it's not going to be like the old hyperinflations where we see paper dollars in the street. I don't see that coming.
Okay, all right, man. That's the question of my mind. And, I've been distracted lately because I've been in training to be a flight attendant the past 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
And man, it's just amazing how much this world has changed. I don't have the time to spend, that I used to, looking at the markets and kind of, hearing the rumors and whatnot.
Yeah.
But man, every day when I get done with training and I turn on the YouTube and check out my updates.
Yeah.
Man, it's just changing at an exponential rate, man. That's what it seems.
Yeah, I agree. And so it's like every day is something new. And that's where I'm thinking this can be a prolonged event because everything is speeding up so fast that, every day I'm anticipating something. So there's always going to be something to talk about every day because we are in something that it hasn't happened in our lifetime. So we get a front row seat in a history book. We go right now, 100 years from now, they're going to look back and we're going to be talked about as the generation that allowed governments to print excessively and people welcomed it with ease because they thought it was something free. But everything comes at a cost. So I appreciate you for calling in, my friend.
It's exciting times to live in, that, Mike.
It depends on how you look at it, but yet I'm going to look at it as an opportunity somehow, some way. So not sure how the Lord want to work it out yet, but you know, it doesn't surprise him. So I'm happy about that.
Man, have a wonderful night.
All right, my friend.
Mike. Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, be good. All right, so that is all she wrote for tonight. We've been about 45 minutes, give or take. I appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight. And as always, there's gonna be more to talk about tomorrow, and so every day is gonna bring something new. Biggest thing we can actually is appreciate the days as they come and find something to be grateful for amongst all this madness. Try to stay healthy as best you can. Of course, no matter what current health condition you're in, whether you're in the younger age range and your immune system is strong, or if you're a little bit older and it's not as strong, take little small steps to just try to stay as fit and as healthy as you can to be able to fight something off if it comes your way. But if it doesn't, definitely be active in prayer, praying for others that might be encountering something right now or something might be around the corner because nobody really knows. But I appreciate everybody for taking time. It looks like it says somebody said I'm disconnecting. And so I should be still live, but I am good. So with that being the case, give a thumbs up to this video, click it beneath. And as always, if you scroll beneath this video, there's opportunities there for those that would like to be a blessing to the channel and to support the channel via a Patreon or just a one-time donation. It would definitely be appreciated in this current environment. And any help does count. So other than that, be blessed, be safe. See you guys later. Peace.